Hello. How are you doing? So just when you thought the trade war was fizzling out, the Epstein drama comes back to life, and Trump needs something to distract us all. So he levies, well, I guess he's threatening 30% tariffs on the EU. Once again, when I saw this news, I was just like, oh my God, really? We have to do this all again? Okay. I mean, really, what I want to know is what the Europeans are saying. The leaders. So what I've done is I've found a couple of responses. A few, I guess you would say, because there's three. One from Sefcovic, which he is the European Commissioner for Trade, right, at the EU, right? And then Antonio Costa, President of the EU Council. And then I got one from Macron as well. Okay, so I'm very curious to see what they have to say on the matter. Let's do it.
Side was that we are very close to an agreement. I mean, we have been negotiating this agreement in principles for weeks, and I think that we've been almost there.
Okay, I'm really sorry. I thought those were captions. I was like reading this like it's a caption, but he's actually speaking English. To run it back.
The feeling on our side was that we are very close to an agreement. I mean, we have been negotiating this agreement in principles for weeks, and I think that we've been almost there. And of course, there have been some sectoral issues upon which we've been negotiating. So my sense.
I've heard that these types of negotiations, trade negotiations, can take years. So, I mean, I understand trying to get it done quicker because nobody wants to wait years for that type of thing. You know, it just creates a lot of uncertainty. But also, like, it's kind of ridiculous to just be like, come on, like, you guys haven't made a deal yet. 30% more.
Was we are approaching, the good outcome for both sides. 30% or anything about 30%. So eventually any additional counteraction from the United States, it has more or less the same effect. So it's practically it prohibits the trade.
He's saying it might as well be 1,000%. There's going to be no trade at 30%. That's interesting. It just destroys all the margins. It makes it totally uncompetitive from the EU to export stuff to America at 30% tariff. That's interesting.
So if you're talking about 30% or 30% plus, there will be a huge impact on trade. It will be almost impossible.
I mean, I've almost become kind of numb to like how huge a 30% tariff is, especially after the Chinese stuff where he's like 30%, 50 more percent, 80 more percent, every day. So, but 30% is like gigantic. You have to remember. Before Trump, I think the average was like less than 2% or something on American goods going into Europe.
To continue the trading as we are used in a transatlantic relationship. And if you look at the impact this would have, so I have to say the transatlantic supply chains would be heavily affected on both sides of Atlantic. The feeling.
Interesting. That's an interesting take. It's. Previously, it was mostly like, oh, you're going to destroy your economy. Now it's almost like a warning, like, you're going to destroy the world economy, okay? We need to calm down. Let's think about this. All right, let's see what the EU Council President has to say. Free and fair trade drives prosperity, creates jobs, and strengthens supply chains. Tariffs are taxes. They fuel inflation, create uncertainty, and hinder economic growth. I was like, hold up. That went off the script. Higher economic growth, hinder economic growth. Of course, these are all just facts, in my opinion. Those are facts. I've been seeing weird stuff about how, actually tariffs are disinflationary. It's like, what are you talking? Like, maybe if they crash the economy and cause a recession, then they're disinflationary. Then they're deflationary. Sure, if you want to say that. I guess if the whole world blows up and we go back to rubbing sticks together, then yeah, everything's going to cost way less. We will continue to build strong trade partnerships worldwide. That's a little bit of like a threat, you know what I mean? Like, okay, we're going to go around America. But of course, at the end of the day, America's a giant piece of the puzzle of the world economy. The EU remains firm, united, and ready to protect our interests in full support of President, I should know how to say her name, but I won't even try, and the commissioners. Actually, I'm going to learn.
Ursula von der Leyen.
Okay, pretty straightforward. Ursula von der Leyen. When it's all together like this, I'm like, whoa, von der Leyen. All right, President Ursula von der Leyen. And the Commission's effort to reach a fair agreement with the U.S. I think this is a great statement, remains calm, sticks to the facts, diplomatic, but also strong. With all due respect, please take an economics class. You'll learn that tariffs are a one-time price adjustment and therefore, by definition, not inflationary. Thank you. I'm pretty sure a one-time price adjustment is inflationary. That's a big one-time adjustment. 30% up? Of course. Of course, now. It is much more complicated than just, everything's going to cost 30% more. It's going to be absorbed by the margins, which means businesses make less money, which means they can employ less people. It's all bad. So whether you want to call it, it's not that inflationary, it's only a one-time inflationary. Okay, well, it's also recessionary. Whoa, okay, Macron, coming down with the hammer. Okay, it's not that bad. Let's do it. I'm an American, guys. There's a lot for me to read. Just kidding. Along with the president of the European Commission, France shares the same very strong disapproval of the announcement of Horizon. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm one sentence in and I'm already stuttering. This is bad. Why am I trying to do this? Let's do it again. France shares the same very strong disapproval of the announcement of the horizontal 30% tariffs on EU exports to the United States from August 31st. Or 1st. I guess horizontal referring to it's just across the board. Everything. 30%. Flat fee. That's pretty insane. This announcement comes after weeks of intense engagement by the Commission in negotiations with the United States on the basis of a solid offer made in good faith. With European unity, it is more than ever up to the Commission to assert the Union's determination to resolutely defend European interests. In particular, this implies speeding up the preparation of credible countermeasures by mobilizing all the instruments at its disposal. Damn! This is kind of scary. Okay. So Macron's saying, guys, we're not backing down. Yes, this may hurt. This is going to hurt, but it's also going to hurt them. We can't just back down and roll over. Okay, whoa. Including anti-coercion if no agreement is reached by August 1st. Ooh, what does that refer to? Anti-coercion. On this basis, France fully supports the European Commission in the negotiations, which will now intensify to reach a mutually acceptable agreement by August 1st, reflecting the respect that trading partners like the European Union and the United States owe each other with their shared interests and integrated value chains. Damn. I'm seeing a wide range of responses now. I mean, it's interesting. I feel like people are just kind of getting scattered at this point. Nobody knows what to do. You still see the people saying, let's do reciprocal tariffs. So, the president knows his place. Simple solution. Open your markets. Eliminate all tariffs, VAT taxes against the U.S. and abandon any restrictions on American social media companies. The thing is, that kind of goes back to the idea that these are retaliatory tariffs. And it's like, that was all calculated just off of trade imbalances. So, eliminating this isn't going to immediately make all trade between the EU, like the exports and the imports between America and the EU, just equal. I don't know how you could do that without some kind of communist, centrally planned, weird solution. You need to urgently block Twitter and all social media platforms in Europe. I don't know about that. The thing about Twitter is the comments aren't in any particular order, it seems like. You get these comments that have 2 likes. I like it more so when the top comment is actually the top comment. Okay, I guess Dick Schoof, apparently the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. My apologies, I didn't know that, but he's got a statement here. The U.S. announcement of 30% tariffs on goods imported from the EU is concerning and not the way forward. The European Commission can count on our full support. As the EU, we must remain united and resolute in pursuing an outcome with the U.S. that is mutually beneficial. Okay. Pretty bland. But, oh, okay. So apparently these tariffs will take place, or supposedly take place, August 1st. So, wow, that is really coming up. Couple of weeks. We'll see how that all plays out. You never know. You literally never know with this administration. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a great weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.